So let's hop into it. So really, this is kind of the first of many presentations I want to do over the next couple of years, and primarily probably at DevFest. Kind of go over what we did this past year, and then kind of where we're headed or where I see advancements are going in the coming years. Kind of like how Oculus Connect does the exact same thing, where we have everything in the past and then moving forward with predictions. So today I really want to go over two main things: where we've been and where we're going. And we're going to break virtual reality down. We'll break augmented reality down, and then we'll also break mixed reality down. So, kind of went through the intro again. I work for Insight Digital Innovation. We have 900 plus consultants worldwide and actually global now because we have Ignia out in Australia. And then, Microsoft. I'm a huge Microsoft partner with mixed reality, and we're also the largest reseller of HoloLens. And then we're the Apple authorized reseller and mobility partner there as well. So Google's coming, don't worry, our partnerships are in line. So what did we do this year? Well, there's been a lot of acronyms, right? And we're trying, and everybody is an expert in this field, and we're all fighting about this spectrum and what we're actually gonna call it. And this is kind of how I position the spectrum. So we have everything that's real, right? And then we have everything that's not real, which is virtual reality or placed somewhere else. And then I take augmented reality and I put it towards virtual reality a little bit more. And this is mainly because there's not that seamless integration with reality yet. So augmented reality to me is still based on the virtual reality of the time, where it's just really just overlaying or changing kind of our visual perception of the digital content. So the mixed reality, I slice back all the way back into reality, because that's what we want to get to, right? We want to take virtual reality and we want to push that into reality as best as we can. So that's kind of the established spectrum that I have. And then obviously the term XR, everybody's kind of taking this to stride. That is covering everything. Now you'll see companies like Microsoft, and I tell them that they're crazy for marking VR headsets as mixed reality, which gets me super frustrated. So I'm going to go with XR. And then when I talk about everything in the space, it's really immersive technology. Like, how are we going to immerse you in this technology? So, when it comes to our company landscapes, this is where we were 2014, 15, 16, 17. DK1 started coming out, DK2, we didn't really get anything launched. But look at this. This is 2018. I mean, this is huge. This is a massive, massive blow up, right? And I think this was the beginning of 2018 even, and there's even more companies that have joined this or fallen off. I mean, we've seen the rise and fall of Meta and Star VR and all of those companies, but this is ripe for the picking, right? We have a lot of funding that's flowing into the market, and this is what it is. And we see this with Gartner as well, right? 2017, we had virtual reality was actually on the slope of enlightenment, right? Down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And people were just getting used to it. DK1, DK2, again, coming out. Not really anything standalone. Mobile VR was out there. Augmented reality was actually down in the trough of disillusionment because we didn't really know what to do with it at that point, right? We just had HUDs. It's like, okay, great, we have HUDs. We had Google Glass at that point, which I think I saw around here somewhere. And then 2018, VR is not even on here anymore. And it's mainly because we hit that plateau of productivity, right? People know what it is, they know how to use it, and better headsets are actually coming out for it. Now, the cool thing is, Gartner actually added mixed reality entering the trough of disillusionment here, which, if it's a little blurry, you can kind of see it. It's right before augmented reality on that slope. The headsets are getting better. New headsets are coming out this year. New capabilities. Companies are actually understanding what mixed reality is compared to augmented reality. So it kind of falls. And what I see mixed reality actually surpassing augmented reality and then sliding back into the plateau of productivity. So where have we been with VR? So if you follow me on LinkedIn, I have a bunch of different articles like this that give the breakdown of kind of the high-level area, the platforms and the SDKs, and these are quite a few that I see and I use on a daily basis. So PlayStation VR is obviously the big market share winner here this year. We had just over 1.3 million units shipped. And I think this is really tied to the fact that PlayStation has hit the market so high. Like there's just so many PlayStations out there that are capable of running VR than, let's say, your everyday PC, right? I mean, you're not going to be running a huge VR on like a Core 2 Duo or something, right? It just doesn't happen. So due to the fact that there's so many PlayStations out there, the headsets were an easy pair for them, an easy market win. Oculus, obviously we have them as coming in at number 2. And I think that's really due to the Oculus Go releasing this year, which I'll kind of talk about. You know, the standalone market kind of hitting the market this year and everybody understanding what a standalone actually is something really valuable for the market. You know, there's a decline in Gear VR, mainly because you still have to tie your Galaxy device to the Gear VR, but they replaced that with Oculus Go, right? And then Oculus Rift obviously sold roughly a little bit more than 100,000 units this year. So HTC was the next one. We had that standalone headset again with Vive, the Vive Focus, which that market share and the units sold are actually based in China and overseas. So this headset is actually coming to the US. The developer kit is, I think, available right now to purchase, but it's really just the developer kit. And then Vive and Vive Pro are making some decent headway this year in the VR market. And then here's those crazy Windows mixed reality headsets that are actually VR that had a little bit of market share. So the big winners this year for VR are obviously standalone HMDs. We have enterprise VR, VR box office, lots of big game recognition this year, and then location or hybrid-based VR, kind of what we have here in Disney with the Void, and I'll get into that real quick. So yeah, standalones, no phones needed, no computers needed. We had a lot of that this year. The Pico Goblin came out, the Lenovo for Google came out, and obviously the Focus and the Oculus Go was a huge winner. And I say Oculus Go is a huge winner because they're selling to Walmart, right? And this is where the enterprise training comes into play. So we had this purchase alone was 17,000 units. And that's pretty big for an enterprise investment, right? And then they need to throw on services on top of this where we actually build this custom development. So that is a huge, huge win. And it kind of shows everybody else, hey, VR is not just a gimmicky little thing anymore. We need to start using this. And if you've seen this game this year, you probably know Beat Saber is one of the biggest games to kind of hit the VR spectrum this year. It's definitely one of my favorites. I burned a few calories on this game for sure. Kind of like the Guitar Hero of its time is what I'm calling it. Don't get mesmerized, it's a good game. Another big winner this year at the Raindance Film Festival was Transference. Everybody was talking about this. I mean, Elijah Wood was one of the, I guess, the director, the producers on this film. You can't really make out some detail, but it's kind of like a stylized cartoon film, it's a really great film if you want to go look at it. And then Wreck-It Ralph, obviously this is a Disney thing, hybrid reality. We have it over at the Void along with the Star Wars one as well. So definitely go check that out. They are a lot of fun. Basically just strap a laptop to your back and walk around and interact with the real world and walk through the internet on this one. So where are we going with VR? Well, there's a couple big things with VR. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more standalone coming up in the next year to year and a half. We have optical advancements, and then we also have WebVR, which is hitting the market at a rapid pace. You know, Mozilla has their whole VR experience right now, SDK and everything up and going. So this is the Oculus Quest. This is the next biggest standalone unit to come out this year. As you can see, we have things like 6 DoF controllers. We'll have 6 DoF movement with your head. And DoF just means degrees of freedom. So when I move, everything moves with me. With Oculus Go, if you were to move your head, it doesn't move with you in space. You just you're stabilized. You only get that 360-degree looking angle, very much like mobile VR. So the optical advancements, and this is pretty crazy. I mean, Oculus is pretty dead on with this. That was OC3 on the left-hand side, where they made the prediction of where they were going to be in about 4 years. And this was OC5. So 2 years, they actually made all of these advancements within the Half Dome and then the next iterations of the Oculus Quest. And this is really due to a couple different things. So we have the varifocal displays. So this is varifocal on, which means everything is in focus at the exact same time, right? We're focusing in, we're changing those pancake lenses, that depth, everything, so we can get a bright, clean picture. But that's not really how the eye works, right? So we add a little bit of machine learning, what they call deep focus, and where your eye is tracked, now we're getting the real, what we're seeing like really out of our optics, our true optics, which is whatever we're focusing on is in focus. And whatever we're not focused on is actually blurry and out of focus. And that actually comes into this foveated rendering. So this white dot down here, and it's gonna go all around the screen, is actually, it's really hard to make out on this light, but where the eye is looking. So we're adding eye tracking to these VR headsets, right? So that white dot right there, and you can see we're rendering in real time and changing how the sharpness is on the picture based on where you're looking. So what happens there, and it saves us a lot of processing time from, we don't need to blend or show that 4K image fully throughout the entire thing. Maybe it's like 128K all the way to the far left when you're not looking at it. But when it comes into view, now we have that high pixel density and it looks crystal clear. And your eye's not really gonna know this. And it's not really gonna change anything for a VR optical system. And this is kind of the advancement that I think we're gonna see quite a bit within 5 years. This is another Oculus and HTC prediction is getting away from the pancake lenses and moving into waveguides. So right now we have those, when you put on a VR headset or you look through, Gear VR, you have those lenses that look super bulgy, and they're doing that just to make the light come in at the right angle and make sure everything's in focus. Well, with waveguides, we don't have to do that. We shoot the light down, it goes straight down, much like a TV, and all that light comes back in your eye at complete focus. So we have that variable focus where you actually, maybe you want to focus something in and out, and you're looking off to the right, you actually push that waveguide out a little bit more or pull it closer a little bit more, and then we get that depth distance there. So pancake lenses make things bulky as well. Oculus and HTC Vive are pretty bulky right now. They look kind of crazy. You probably wouldn't want to take them out and about in public. But as we move forward, we're going to get these slimmer displays. They're going to look nicer. They'll start to look more like what the HoloLens is today. And then that'll get even slimmer to like just a pair of ski goggles. Has anybody seen Ready Player One, right? And those are kind of the headsets that we're trying to get to. And this is a good concept of it, right? One day. So let's move on to AR and MR. And I kind of want to lump these two together because, again, there's a lot to talk about here, where we've been. So with AR, we now have 500 million devices available to be used with AR. And when I mention AR, it's really about like HUD AR and also advanced AR, things like ARKit, ARCore. Now you can compare that to VR, which only has about 4 million devices, and MR, which has about 60,000 devices. And I kind of want to say like 150,000 devices for MR now because the Army just purchased a ton of HoloLens, and Magic Leap numbers are not the highest, but they're pretty good. So here's all the SDKs and all the platforms. There's a lot. So if you're doing any development in the world today, there's a lot to deal with when you're doing AR. Some of my favorites, obviously, ARCore and ARKit. Everybody's after those right now. And WebAR is super interesting. And I'll kind of talk about some file formats in the future of where we're headed to utilize WebAR. So some of the advancements we had in ARKit and ARCore this year, which I think a lot of people are using and that a lot of enterprises are looking at, are marker persistent and continuous better image tracking. So you can see on the left-hand video there, these are just quick demos I threw together. So we have a marker that's actually tossed in front of the camera, and it locks it once, knows where the position is, and then locks the digital content to it. Now, we're not tracking that marker over and over and over again like continuous is. And you can see in continuous, when I move the marker, all the digital content moves with it. But marker persistent is just that one-time shot, right? So it's lock, load, done. And we see that a lot when we're doing things like IoT integration, or if they want to do like museum integration, where they have a marker on a wall. We just take it, move the device in front of the marker, lock it once, and then all the digital content's there. And then we have things like SLAM tracking and ISO tracking to move away, and we can actually see all that digital content. So object and face detection, these are some other demos. Hopefully my little robot works. Oh, he's got music too. So you can see we have isolation of the face, which is on the far right-hand side. We have a blend-shaped mask, which we can start using now with the front-facing camera. Use the depth camera as well. The middle one is really that showcasing that blend shape, but also we can place digital objects in front of that blend shape and start targeting eyes and eye tracking all within that. And then that left video is actually is object recognition. So basically we create a point cloud map around the robot, understand it from all the different angles, kind of like photogrammetry, right? And then we can go at any angle to that object and we instantly can lock digital content directly to that object. And we have shared experiences. These are new things this year. Google's got the cloud anchoring system, which allows you to upload actually a scene from one device to another. And the interesting thing is with AR and dealing with mobile, if you're going to do any type of cross-platform or shared experiences, the devices need to know where you are or where the other players are, where you are, and then where that digital content is, right? Because I could be standing here with something in front of me on the floor, and you could be way over there, and we share an experience, but we have the digital objects that are completely disregarding one another. So it's really about knowing the space and uploading those anchors. So where are we going with AR? So there's a couple things here. The average smartphone turnover is slowing down. And that's good and bad for the AR market. Devices are definitely better and ripe for AR experiences, but I don't think there's going to be a huge change within the smartphone market itself to get people engaged with AR, right? And the prices of new smartphones are just skyrocketing through the roof. But on the flip side of that, there's been multiple advancements in AR glasses like Focal North Focals, and advancements in mixed reality headsets like HoloLens V Next, which I'll kind of talk about and touch on. And then the price of mixed reality headsets are actually coming down too, which I predict they're going to be less than $1,000 in the next couple of years. And we kind of saw that fall off with Magic Leap 1, right? We went from the $3,000 to $5,000 for HoloLens, and we went all the way down to $2,200 with the Magic Leap 1. So if you haven't seen these yet, these are kind of like the next iteration of what we're looking at from a HUD AR experience. And these are North glasses. So really simple design, but everyday use. You could see yourself walking around with a pair of these, maybe just to get updates and everything like that, text messages, weather alerts, time of day. They look like just a normal pair of glasses, and that's basic HUD AR. And from my perspective, being in the enterprise market and building out these huge solutions, digital twinning is the biggest thing on the market. Everybody has physical objects that we need to augment. I'm in constant contact with the federal space, big companies like Boeing and Chevron, and they have all of these crazy CAD designs, and we can't put all these crazy CAD designs on devices. You just can't do it. The processing power is not there. The rendering is not there. The spatial mapping is not there. So we need to build digital twins for these objects. And then what we do then is we can augment these digital twins, right? So we can do object tracking for certain piping on a wall and then overlay information of that piping and digital statistics for that. And there's a lot of different layers here that are underneath this digital twin concept. So in the first one we have is IoT. IoT is going to be crucial to anything we do in augmented and mixed reality. And these are some screenshots from a project. I can't disclose a customer, but they have machines out there right now that are collecting a ton of data, right? And all of this data is being fed into the cloud through different IoT devices. And you see we have TV screens up on the top of above the machines. And they're like, we don't want to buy that every time we start up a new facility. That's ridiculous. Why would we do that? Let's just throw a HoloLens or a Magic Leap on somebody's head and walk around and have those dashboards pop up right in front of me. And that's exactly what we did. We refined all the data, did a little bit of machine learning together, like utilization and vision errors and feed errors and things along those lines. Bring that data right in front of you. So as you walk by, that little dashboard pops up right in front of you using Bluetooth. And photogrammetry, and I think photogrammetry is going to be massive over the next couple of years. And it's really because graphic artists or digital artists are really good at creating 3D models, right? And we're good at it, but it's not reality. And bringing reality into mixed reality is how we're going to bridge that gap. And with this, photogrammetry offers so much. On the left-hand side, you can see we have kind of like a data set, but an image set of 40, 50, 100 pictures, right? And then you bring that into a computer vision algorithm, much like what I'm using here, which is Alice Vision, and it actually coordinates exactly where you took that picture automatically based on the algorithm. And then it generates the point cloud in the middle for this statue. So we can see we have all these points. And anytime you have a point cloud, more than likely you're going to be able to make a mesh out of this. And that's exactly what happens. We brought this in with Alice Vision. We cleaned it up with MeshLab, Meshroom, 3ds. We brought it into Unity, and I brought it straight into AR and ARCore. And this was literally half a day process, right? Going out, taking the pictures, and bringing that right in. And it looks pretty real, right? We have all the realistic textures, all the realistic lighting, and I know many, many companies are using this for large mechanic installments, planes. Planes is a huge market, plane engines. We have the government's using this for helicopter rotary engines. And this also crosses back into VR as well, because now we could bring reality and modify it in virtual reality. So here's that GLTF and USDZ, and these are the file formats that I think are going to change kind of WebVR, WebAR. Again, photogrammetry is used here. Again, you can see kind of the plane cutoff there when we actually do the scanning. But this is Facebook, right? And we have, I think that's Wayfair or one of Apple's, or one of the ARCore designs over there, where we have this web file format. OBJs and FBXs are great because they're models, right? And we can store some texture information in there, but not like GLTF or USDZ. We can actually store scene information into these. So if we had specific lighting, if we had certain textures or certain shaders, all that could be stored within USDZ. And Adobe's actually building out pipelines directly for this. So when you put the USDZ files, let's say in the cloud, you can actually just go to a website, hit a button, and bring that model directly in front of you in AR. Or you can do the same in VR as well. So a different delivery method. You don't need to download an app anymore. You just need to go to a web page. So mixed reality, where have we been with mixed reality? Well, we had this guy released this year, right? Everybody waited for a long time. There's been a lot of mixed reviews about this. I don't know if anybody here has tried it. Has anybody tried it in here? Yeah, okay, we got one. But it's a mixed bag with me. I like it and then I hate it. I love all the advancements that we have. But I think we can do better over the next couple of years. So where's HoloLens been? Well, it's 2 years old now. It's working in the enterprise sector. Got a quick degree and moved up pretty quick. 50,000 units sold. I think that's a little off. We now have 150 to 200,000 units sold. The military just bought 100,000 units, which pretty much depleted the stock. If you look at Microsoft's page today, there are none. You can't get any HoloLens whatsoever. And there's a huge developer base for this too, right? And you can bring your skills over, whatever you're using. If you're using Java, if you're using C#, we have all that built in because we run it through Unity, right? You could develop for both. So where are we going? Tell me about V2. Well, I do know a lot of details about V2, but I can't tell you anything. So I'm sorry. I could tell you soon, very, very soon, we'll have something new. And this is kind of going back to the spectrum, which is the blending of realities. How do we get virtual reality and blend it back into reality? And this is one of the good examples of doing this, right? So in this case, we have pass-through VR, and we have those cameras on the front of the headset that are actually pulling information and depth information from reality, using a shader to kind of give like a mask over reality. And then we have all the VR stuff based in there. So 6-DoF movement again, so we can actually walk into a different room, which is now a fully digital room. But we can still see, it kind of looks like Take On Me, right? But yeah, I want to go back and play that again, because I think this is really, really interesting. So now if you literally had the pass-through VR and we had those slimmer headsets on, and you would actually be seeing reality, but through lenses, we can augment that, which really goes back into what mixed reality truly is, an augmentation and a mixture of virtual and augmented reality. And then obviously we're going to be trying to hit up all the higher end, these are kind of crazy demos from Microsoft, but this is kind of what we're after, right? We're after that blend, and we have slimmer headsets, and hopefully one day they just look like a pair of Ray-Bans or something like that. It's a weird floating bubble too. But this is what we're after, right? We have this merger of reality, space, time. That's really what we're after. I think that's it. I think I ended pretty much on time. Got through about 50 slides. I think we're good. Is there any questions? Does anybody have any questions? I like doing more intimate sessions, like talk about things.
I think in your experience, which one do you think is going to be the main tool for developing MR? Besides, seems to be that Unreal and Unity are getting very strong at doing this.
Yeah, you mean for building applications? Yeah. So there is, so Unity is obviously the biggest on the market right now, right? And personally, Unreal is making a huge push into the enterprise market. They've reached out to us specifically multiple times because they're creating a whole Unreal division that just specializes in AR and MR, and VR for that case, in the enterprise market. So you're gonna see, those two engines. And Unity has done this really, really well over the past couple of years, ever since I've been using it way back in 2007 when it was just games, right? But then we realized we can use this in the enterprise space. So if you have skills in either or, you'll be able to join my team for sure. So keep going with that. Which one do you use the most? Okay, perfect, yeah. I mean, the support for both is massive. It's just a matter of how you want to do your scripting, right? Any other questions? Cool. Thank you, guys. If you have any questions otherwise, just come up to me. I'll be around for a little longer here today, and reach out anytime on LinkedIn pretty much all the time. Thank you.